Education and Economic Development Committee meeting. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is public comment. I have had no one approach me for public comment. So we will move on to number 4, approval of the August 7th, 2025 Extension Education and Economic Development Committee meeting minutes. I have a motion by Hagan, a second by Rosenberg. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. Then we will move on to number 5. We are going to skip ahead, if that's okay with everyone, and leave Lance to the end. Some people have other things to do today. So, we'll go with B, discussion and possible action by EED to forward to County Board for consideration. So we'll have our presentation from Centergy. So consideration to partner in funding of Centergy target industry and site readiness evaluation.
Hello, everyone.
Do you want to come up to the front?
Oh, man.
Thank you.
All right, you're all set to scroll then, and the mic signs.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. As a reminder, my name is Angel Laidlaw. I am the CEO for Centergy, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about an initiative we're launching in 2026. As you know, Centergy represents Adams, Lincoln, Marathon, Portage, and Wood County, and we've decided to partner with Site Selector Group, the largest independent site selection firm in the U.S., to work on 2 critical questions that our region's been asking us. Which industries fit us best for attraction? And second, how ready are our sites and our communities for these projects? So I won't go over the really big PowerPoint and information in here, but I'll just kind of high level talk to you about it. So as one of our roles as Centergy, we work directly on business attraction. And now that I've been in this role for approximately 3 years, one thing we've noticed is many of our communities aren't sure what they should be attracting, how ready their properties are, and what is that next step to keep our communities growing when it comes to business development. We were honored to go to the NFL draft and meet several site selectors from all over the nation and talk to them about Central Wisconsin. Specifically, they were able to join us in Stevens Point as we drove through up to Door County, and they stopped at one of our sites we thought that would have been a great site for submission. He gave us lots of information, and he said as a site selector, this would have not have passed. And many of our sites are like that here in Central Wisconsin. So what we decided to do is partner with Site Selector Group to have a large industry study. This study will focus on many different components. First, it'll focus on what we should be attracting from an industry, but not just manufacturing, food processing. We know we're really good at some of those key categories, but we want to know what's specific. Should we be attracting an airplane part manufacturer? Should it be a large-scale food processor like a bakery again? So really we're looking at what those specific attraction efforts could be. Additionally, we know we have certain concentrations of workforce. And as we look at our workforce, that is also an attraction piece for business. So what are those concentrations? Is it engineering, manufacturing work? And we can focus on those as target areas as well. The last piece of it, which is why we're asking our community partners to come help us with this initiative, is we'll choose 5 to 6 properties within the region that will actually have boots on the ground site selectors giving them a real pass or fail grade. But they're not just going to give them a grade, they're going to give them what they need to do in the steps to make them a passable property. And then after we have this study fully completed and all of the properties assessed, Centergy hosts an annual developer tour, and we'll invite specific clients and site selectors to our region to tour these properties to try to entice development there. Additionally, this whole study will be available for public consumption. Our goal is not to keep this, it's to share it with the communities. We have big communities, small communities, and we want everyone to be able to leverage those resources for us. Right now, the whole study is $125,000, but $130,000 if you include travel. We're asking each of our county partners for $5,000 to support the effort because there'll be at least one property in each county that will get a certified review with that site selector. We're also, some of our private sector partners are coming in to pay for this. Synergy as well is putting dollars into the fund. And we have also submitted a $50,000 capacity building grant with the WEDC, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, to support this as a best practice. There's been lots of industry studies done previously, but not into this detail and depth. Again, included in your packet is a lot of pages on what are some of the examples and details that could be included, and some of the businesses that were attracted based on the assessments this organization has done for other communities and regions as well. So I'm going to pause because I talk fast and I want to make sure I open it for questions. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask about the study specifically?
Any questions so far? Go ahead, Supervisor Rosenberg.
Sort of track record does this have compared to not doing anything?
Sure. If you don't know what you're good at, it's hard to promote. So currently, right now, for example, I travel to an event called Select USA. I go to Washington, D.C., and we essentially promote Wisconsin, and then I specifically focus on central Wisconsin. When I go there, I can say we have a heavy concentration in manufacturing, and we have certain providers already here. But that doesn't speak to an expert in the industry that's an outside, unbiased party telling us what we're good at. These site selectors are actually hired by companies to find the right property to move over. So if we don't have this, we won't have a direction, not only as a region, but individual communities on what we should be attracting. Usually these are really well received, and developers love looking at these because they know if they're going to be a good fit before they even start a conversation here locally. You're welcome.
Supervisor Lemmer.
Thank you, Chair. Can you talk a little bit about the types of properties at the county? We've got some properties we're trying to divest from, but they have buildings on them. Are you looking for things like that, or are they really just either brownfield, greenfield, whatever? I don't know the correct terminology, but.
It could be a little bit of everything, right? So typically when we're talking about development, they're looking for a little bit more acreage. So smaller properties aren't going to be the target focus. So these could be properties 20, 50, 100 acres, depending on what that looks like. We've seen interest. I'll kind of back up to give a little history. Synergy receives direct RFIs, requests for information, from the state of Wisconsin for potential companies that are looking to relocate here. My job is to match them with properties in our region that could potentially meet that need. That can be anywhere from a greenfield to they want an existing building to maybe they are looking for a brownfield because it fits something that they've done before previously and they have a good track record with it. So it's when we go to the process where we identify the sites that we're looking for, we'll reach out to the county and the cities we're partnering with to say what property fits a criteria that a developer would be interested in. So we know we're putting the time and effort to a property that's almost ready instead of one that maybe isn't close to being ready.
And then if I could just follow up, I was looking at the report, and if you're not ready to talk about that, the specific ask, it just says that if we had a capital investment of 25 million and 75 new jobs, there would be, and then you have 3 different bullet points for those. When was the last time we had a manufacturing project secured in this area?
Sure. The last one was actually Metallico. It's an aluminum build recycler. One of their biggest clients is here, Greenheck. And that was actually prior to my arrival. So, gosh, how long ago was that? I have to count. I'm so sorry. Maybe, 7, 8 years ago already. I was actually at the heart of Wisconsin, the Chamber of Commerce for Wisconsin Rapids, when that project was wrapping up. That was the last attraction effort, and that site was a certified site. And the reason why they were interested is because not only it was certified, showing that there was utilities and it was ready for development, but one of their biggest clients was in proximity, which made it very desirable.
And then just one last question. It says that you already have commitments from Wood County, and then it looks like Adams County EDC. Did Adams County, the government, contribute, or is that just their EDC that contributed?
So they're going to split the cost, but Adams County EDC said they would front the cost if in fact, they couldn't find funding at the county, so they were just letting us know that they were going to support the effort either way. So I felt comfortable putting them in there, just as that until we confirm with the county. I'm meeting with all of our counties. I'm also meeting with all of our large municipalities and some of our smaller municipalities that are growing and that are high growth right now that are interested in investing. Even if they don't have a specific featured property, they know they could still leverage this for future development. Great questions. Thank you.
I have a question. So what kind of properties would you be looking for? Would it be outside of current industrial parks? Because we are kind of out of space in our industrial park, correct? In Wausau?
They didn't give me a mic, maybe that was for a reason. So I'm just looking at what I know about our county and large properties. Wausau has the only certified site in Marathon County on the west side of the business campus. That's approximately 60 acres. Looking at Cronenwetter, they have some significant land in the Polsky interchange area. That's a big acreage. I know there's one that's 172 acre parcel there. So we do have some available properties yet. And just as some of the earlier points, we've been very uncompetitive with those RFIs that have come out recently. The Southeast, Madison, Dane County is absolutely mopping up, and we're just getting left behind. So I'm glad that you're doing something like this because we need to do something.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to follow up then with that. Can you talk a little bit, Randy, about why we're uncompetitive? Is it related to investment or is it related to logistics?
If I knew that answer, we would be in a better position. I think there's a lot of different factors that go about it. Just workforce is a big issue, I think. Obviously, we have great transportation being on 2939 corridor. Workforce is an issue. Just having sites that are available and ready to go. There's a lot of sites in the southern part of the state that they've done a great job of accumulating and building large properties. When I say we've got 60 acres in Wausau, that's not big in the bigger picture of what some of these companies are looking for. They're looking for 100, 200 acre campuses to be able to build on. I don't know if that's something necessarily that we would be really eager to have just based on how that's going to have effect on the other businesses within the area and workforce like I talked about earlier. But there's a number of reasons, but I think we have a lot of things going for us that could make us very competitive if we had the right resources. Just thinking about the two communities I've worked for in the past, the Village of Cronenwetter, we created available property flyers. You can still find that on their website. With the city of Wausau, we're also looking at doing that and trying to refine that. So all of our sites are really RFP or RFI ready. So something comes in, we can literally go, here you go. But that's part of this process and learning what they're looking for.
And if I may, one thing that we're hearing, not just in central Wisconsin, but all across the state, utilities are something, right? Access to power, and we know that there's a lot of permitting and federal regulation, and it takes time. So this is an opportunity for us to evaluate those sites, say this is the kind of utility that would be desirable here, and we can build out a plan, for example, to have those utilities built in, because we may not have it ready today, but a developer would still be interested if we had an exact plan and timeline when those utilities would be ready, because they may not even be able to break ground for 2 years. So how can we help that process before they're even here asking those questions on how long that will take?
Other questions?
Apologies. You got my brain going. How does housing come into this? I had talked with a former official, and they were saying it was really difficult to attract businesses here because we just didn't have places for people to live. So how do you balance that ask?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that. So Synergy actually released in partnership with the geez, I am terrible today, guys. North Central Regional Planning Commission, a regional housing study, and it covered just over 11,000 units would be needed by 2040. And we need just over 8,000 of those before 2030, right? So a large amount. There, however, are a lot of units, especially here in Wausau, that are going online. Small communities are now building out incentive packages where if a developer will have the infrastructure built for free, and if they build it and they get someone to buy and purchase it and become a resident, they get a $5,000 kickback. So communities are looking at really creative ways. In that housing study as well, it talks about the need for a housing fund that would essentially help the capital gap issue that a lot of our developers are experiencing. It's because we have low rents here, so it's really hard for them to recoup those costs. Now, we love bragging we have low rents here, but when you're talking about the supplies being more expensive, cost of labor more expensive, it's really hard for them to balance that out. So one of our objectives as Synergy over the next few years is we're going to evaluate how to set up a fund, get investment into that fund, and be able to disperse that out to the community with our partners. I'm not an expert of anything finance or loan related, so we hope to partner with maybe an organization like McDevco or others that are really good at doing the finance piece, and then we can be the front end marketer working with the developers to let them know that this opportunity would be available. So, but I would also say that we're not the only one that's having housing issues. Everywhere all over the state, even though Madison, Milwaukee, they're turning and burning, right, and they're having all of these units go up, they're still lacking. And what we're also seeing too with housing is people want to come back to the rural communities. So we're trying to help those communities find all the resources. And I know there's several pieces of legislation Synergy actually helps support that are focused on rural communities and accessing and being able to capital stack some of those programs as well.
So a question for Lance, where would we get the 5,000 from?
I figured that question would come, and I was asking Angel before the meeting started if, I think quite honestly, there's an opportunity if we could fund that this year. I can go back and take a look at my special projects fund, and particularly the economic development monies that were set aside as part of the 2025 budget. I'm confident, I haven't looked at them yet today, but I'm confident $5,000 we could find, similar to some of the other sponsorships you've approved yet this year. With the 2026 budget still under consideration, of course, I think that's a more advantageous approach.
Anyone else? No? Okay, so do you have anything else to say? You're done? So you're waiting for us to make a decision? Oh,
Yes,
how about that?
please.
Okay. So, committee, what do you think?
I'll recommend about the 5,000.
All right, so we have a motion on the table to forward this to the full board. Yes? Second by Hagan. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, if I could, I think
sorry.
it perhaps appropriate to send to HR Finance
Okay,
to identify
sorry,
a
yes.
funding source. I can come with a recommendation to HR Finance on the specific funding
Okay.
source.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Yes, Supervisor Lemmer.
What's the timeline? I mean, is it possible that we also go to our economic development, the Central Wisconsin, to see if there's partnership there, or are you already planning on soliciting from them? Well, I don't know. What is it? The Greater Wausau area, maybe? Maybe. What is Dave Ekman? That's kind of, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if there's local groups, I guess is what I'm wondering.
I'm presented at GWPP and we're in conversations along with some of our private sector partners as well here in Wausau.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and we will move on to our Historical Society presentation on America's 250th anniversary and corresponding funding request from the county. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
Scroll. Perfect. The best. All right, y'all. Oh, thank you. So, as a forewarning, well, first introduction. Hello, I'm the Executive Director of the Historical Society, Blake Opowahusky. Lots of familiar faces here. Some of you know me, and those that do know that I am a new dad. So I've been up since 3 this morning. I'm a little sleep deprived. So with that, I have written down my thoughts. Normally, I was kind of riffed off of my bullet points on the slideshow here. So I will be reading from the script, just as a heads up. So good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today. Next year is our nation's celebration. Unlike any other, we are celebrating America's 250th anniversary. America's 250th is not just a commemoration of our past, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to engage our community, strengthen our shared identity, and leave a legacy that will carry Marathon County forward for the next 50 years. Today I'll be going over how we celebrated America's 200th back in 1976, our overarching goals for this initiative next year, our tiered approach based on funding, and our total asks. Let's get into the bicentennial in 1976. So in 1976, the bicentennial was a balanced history and patriotism with fun and community spirit. Marathon County celebrated with parades, speeches, fireworks, but also had beard contests, cross-country meets, theater productions, concerts, walking tours, and even restoring and firing the historic Marchetti Cannon, which is a little alarming to me. They actually did that next to the Yawkey House. I was like, ooh, just the vibrations off that makes me shudder a little bit. But it was a moment in time that we honor tradition while making history engaging for all ages. It also appealed to a strong sense of local history. You didn't need to be in Philadelphia or Boston to have history worth remembering. That spirit inspired a surge of local interest that still benefits us today. During that time in 1976, we had 4 history books written about our communities, the first ever oral history program in Marathon County that conducted 74 interviews, and our first historic walking tour brochure that we still use today. These efforts remain invaluable, not only for documenting the past, but empowering people to learn about their local roots. And importantly, the bicentennial looked forward by investing in the future. Projects like Big Bull Falls Park, the shelter at Kennedy Park, and the historic marker at the Eau Claire River encourage people to enjoy the outdoors. The Historical Society buried a time capsule at that time, filled with cassette tapes and 35mm slides submitted by local students, a gift to the future from their generation, which I'm hoping we can unveil that time capsule next year. Planning began in Marathon County as early as 1975 and succeeded because of broad support from community leaders. While some municipalities didn't start until spring of 1976, they still created meaningful events. The lesson is clear. There is still time for us to prepare and do something truly memorable for America's 250th next year. So, why does history matter? History is more than just names and dates. It connects us to our values and the sacrifices of those who came before us. It teaches lessons, fosters belongingness, and shows how every individual fits into the larger whole. Supporting America's 250th programming will unite our county across generations and backgrounds through pride, reflection, and the shared hope of what's to come. And these are photos from 1976 from what we did. I think this one was in the Expo building at that time. So the goals for next year, we are looking to celebrate both national and local history. We are looking to increase community engagement through events that bring people together, ensure countywide representation, both from our urban center here in Wausau, but also our rural towns and villages, to expand access through digital outreach that reaches people everywhere where they're at, and to educate our youth through experience-based learning because the next 50 years will be written by them. So just as an exercise, I put together 3 different approaches that were included in your packet there. These are purely just benchmarks, if you will, as far as how funding will impact what we're able to accomplish at the Historical Society to celebrate this milestone year. So the first one there is the scalable approach number 1. At the most basic level, we can rely solely on sponsorships and grants. That would mean modest events, a simple digital presence, and very limited school programming. It would be meaningful, but it would not match the significance of the occasion, and definitely not like what was done 50 years ago. This approach ensures Marathon County participates, but without county support, our ability to create something truly memorable would be limited. Approach number 2. So with $20,000 in county support, we can build a balanced celebration of digital storytelling through a series highlighting multiple communities, engaging public events such as an ice cream social, bring back that beard contest, do a time capsule, dig the old time capsule up, do some educational programs reaching 5 to 7 schools, and a rotating exhibit on the county's last 50 years, and even do 1 to 2 murals created by local artists. This ensures visibility across the county, both urban and rural, and allows us to meaningfully engage with our residents. And then at full vision here at approach number 3, with $60,000 in county support, so this would be a total budget of a little bit over $100,000 then, we can truly create a legacy project, one worth celebrating America's 250th. This would fund a professional grade video series and docu-series in our communities, a county-wide celebration with music, history, pageantry, and a full rollout of traveling school exhibits reaching up to 15 schools. Not only that, but that allows us to put together teacher packets and digital tools for those schools to use going forward. Implementation of 3 major murals with community workshops, and 2 high-quality traveling exhibits, one that focuses on the last 50 years from 1976 to today, and the other that really honors the voices of our heritage communities within Marathon County. So this approach ensures not just a celebration, but we're building something that has a lasting impact for years to come. So kind of as your boilerplate here. Approach number 1, modest programming, relying solely on sponsorships and grants. Approach number 2 requires $20,000 of support for balanced programming with exhibits, murals, and school outreach. And then approach number 3 would be $60,000 of support for countywide legacy projects that will resonate for decades to come. So think about it in 2076, in 50 years from next year, when our county gathers to mark America's 300th anniversary, what will they look back on? Will they remember Marathon County as a community that rose to the occasion, that told its stories boldly, that celebrated both its heritage and its future? Or will they wonder why we didn't seize the moment? My question. So this is a rare opportunity. We have the vision as an organization, we have the partnerships and the enthusiasm. We need your support to make Marathon County's voice strong in America's 250th. On behalf of the Marathon County Historical Society, our community partners, I respectfully request your investment, because it's not only about honoring our past, but it's about shaping the future we want Marathon County to be. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? So just to clarify, this is over and above what we normally give on an annual basis.
Correct. Yep, this is a one-time ask for this initiative that lasts all of 2026 and then for years to come.
So that would mean another funding source.
So I will do the same evaluation that I referenced for the last item, and I can bring that back or take it to HR Finance when at their next meeting, if this is something you want me to do.
Where are you going for other funding sources then? Who else have you approached for money?
Yeah, so we'd be going to the foundations, of course, all our local foundations. We did submit to some competitive grants. So unlike 1976, where there was specific earmarked funds for a lot of these initiatives, Unfortunately, there isn't really any funding on the state or national level for these types of initiatives, so it's really grassroots approached. So we'll be going to the foundations, but also going to the private companies through sponsorships. So that's where we look to make up a lot of that. So if you give us 20,000, we'll fundraise an additional 20. If you give us 60, we'll be able to do an additional about 45,000 from the private sector.
When do you need to know by?
Well, it is a scalable approach. So this is not, it's incorporated into our work plans, but it's a very fluid thing right now. So if we know by end of November, we're still sitting pretty good.
Okay. Yes, Vice Chair Pfeiffer.
Yeah, thank you for the great presentation. I like the idea of doing something. I also know how tight we are budget-wise, so kind of just generally looking at it, I kind of fall in the middle with the middle option. I like the idea of doing something, but at the same time, we have a big budget, but 60,000 is going to be a challenge as we move forward.
At the beginning of the year. Or first quarter. Wonderful. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you. We'll continue discussing. Anything else on that topic? Anyone? Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we move forward to HR Finance, the Scalable 2 approach with the $20,000 contribution.
Okay, we have a second by Supervisor Hagan. Any discussion? All right, no discussion. All in favor of 20,000? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, that goes to HR Finance and Property. Thank you. Moving on to 6A, update from Child Caring on ARPA-supported Child Care Foundational Training Scholarship Program. Thank you, Kelly. That'd be great, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kelly Borchard, and today you don't just get to look at me. I brought along with me today Child Caring's program director, Rachel, who has been foundational with this program. So the Child Care Foundational Training and Scholarship Program, funded by ARPA funds here from Marathon County. Rachel has actually been a lot with program development, creating marketing materials. She takes in the applications. She talks with the participants. She does the surveying. So she has a lot of knowledge and information about how that program's going. And the good news is that it's going super well, and we're excited to share results with you today. You can, oh, I can do it. Oh, super. Scroll. Okay. All right. Just a really brief reminder for those of you who may or may not recall the services of Child Caring. We're a child care resource and referral agency recognized by the state of Wisconsin. We serve 10 counties in the central part of the state. Our office is located in Mosinee. We help families, child care providers, and communities, and really thrive to have all children in high-quality, accessible child care programs. Rachel, is this where you take over, maybe?
Okay. So since the start of it, we've had 15 participants that have completed the initial survey for the CCFT program and have enrolled in courses. I don't know why it says 13 there. So far, we've had 5 that have completed the scholarship program. So that means they have at least completed one of the foundational courses through us and have also completed the other 2 either through us or through another agency. We do have 4 participants actively enrolled right now. We are currently just finishing up one of the introduction classes. We have another class starting on Monday, and then we do have another class starting on the 23rd, which I think will wrap up our last half of 2025 with another set of courses starting in 2026. We did have 4 participants withdraw from the courses. Without prying too much, we just learned that some had family emergencies, medical issues. Some just left us high and dry. We're not really sure why they decided to disenroll from the program. What is the next one? So out of the participants that we have 6 that are indicating they want to be group center employees. So they have 3 courses that they specifically need to take. We have 2 family child care providers who also have 3 specific courses that they want to take. Those 2 providers actually within taking our classes became regulated, so we're super excited for that. So we have 2 new programs in Marathon County with 1 prospective family child care that we have that are going through the courses. This next slide is just kind of the courses that they're required to take. Both of them are required to take the Introduction to Child Care Profession and the Fundamentals of Infant and Toddler Care, which are both 50-hour courses. If you want to work in family child care, you need to also take a Fundamentals of Family Child Care, a 30-hour course. And then group child care needs to take an additional Skills and Strategies for 50 hours. So our providers are busy learning with lots of hours of training. I'll just continue.
Well, I
You're the eye
appreciate
candy today.
I appreciate this next slide because it shows you that we had to really make some updates and be really flexible with this program because of some things that we learned early on in the process.
Yeah, so when we first started the program, we were requiring programs to take all 3 courses through us, which, as you've seen, they're pretty lengthy courses, and sometimes our courses didn't work for them, so we changed up our policies and indicated that they have to at least take 1 course through us, but they have to still complete all 3 courses. So they send me in documentation from the other agencies if they didn't take it from us. And with that helps with, different times, days, just different opportunities other than what we are able to hold.
We really like the charts.
Yes, sometimes they're a little complicated though. So currently we have offered 2 Intro to the Child Care Profession classes. One is actually ending today, and then we do have another one scheduled for 2026. So out of our Marathon County folks, we had 13 enroll, 6 have completed, and 3 have withdrawn. I do anticipate that number now to go up with the current course that we will be hopefully wrapping up by the end of next week. Skills and Strategies, which is a course that child care center employees need, starts Monday. We had one previously in March. We have another one scheduled for April, and all 4 of our participants in that course completed. Fundamentals of Family Child Care, same thing. Our next course is starting October 23rd. We had one in May and then another one that will start in spring. And our 3 folks from there have also passed. Infant and Toddler, we just wrapped up one in July. We have another one starting in February. 10 registered, 8 completed, and 2 withdrawn. Many, like with the intro and the fundamentals of toddler, they tend to be the same person that withdraw from both courses. For the stipend distribution, so programs that qualify and complete the one course with us, family childcare programs are eligible for $5,000. We have distributed 3 of them. I will be sending an email to distribute another half of one. So family childcare providers get $2,500 when they complete the first course, and then once they become regulated, they get the additional $2,500, just so we can make sure that they are completing the requirements of the stipend program. Group child care program gets also $5,000. They get full $5,000 up front. Once it goes directly to the child care program, once their staff complete the program, with 25 of theirs goes on for onboarding costs for the program, and then the other $2,500 is slated for that employee that completed the course to receive incentive pay for the longevity of how long they're working there. So Wassa Childcare has received 4 of them. We did 2 for Cedar Creek location and 2 for the west side. And then the Sprouts Garden through the Monk Gardens had 1 participant that has completed.
So a total of $40,000 has been awarded to the participants so far.
This next slide is a little tricky. This is the impact by municipality for people that have completed the program and have given us the data. We were asked to calculate the families and children that receive direct benefit from these potential providers that have completed the courses. So it's a little hard. The numbers look really big, but sometimes it's if they're working at the same program, we're counting the same children and families. So for example, for the city of Wassa, 3 families with 4 children are receiving direct benefit from the people that have completed our courses in family child care. Group Center, we had 14 families with 17 children that are receiving care from these. Not quite sure why there's 2 group centers, but I'm assuming that the bigger one is the one that is the correct one, the 59 and 75. Oh, you know what? I think that's per person. That's what it is, per participant that has completed. One of them is receiving 59 to 75, so they may be more of a float within the child care center, so they are in more classrooms, so therefore more children are benefiting from them. Yes, that's what it is. Yes. Just some participant feedback about our courses. If you want me to read them, I can read them, but otherwise they are on the slide. We've heard really great things about these courses. They have just newly been revamped from a kind of a workbook type thing on your own to now that they have to actually have face-to-face sessions with instructors. So it's a little bit of a change for programs, but we are trying to do our best to accommodate everybody. I'm too fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right.
We did have one lady that we worked with. She came to us about a year out of high school. She was taking courses, the early education courses at NTC, but everything was online and she was just not being successful at it. They actually seen the information advertised on the news and called us the next day. So we got her signed up for all 3 of our courses. She was able to completely complete all 3 courses and is eligible to be a lead teacher in a child care center. And then we are also very happy to say that we were able to get her in touch with Wassa Childcare, and she started employment on September 2nd. So we were very happy for us. She was one that was a real go-getter. She came into our office a couple times to get some more one-on-one help. So we're really happy for her.
Great.
And then what's next? We will just continue to monitor and support the training completion. I have a huge Excel spreadsheet. Keep helping. A lot of our people that are coming to us are already employed. They just need the requirements to become the lead teacher so that they have, they're eligible to be the lead teacher to essentially be alone with the children, and then continue building our trainings and advertising the program. And then we just want to say thank you to everybody that's involved.
And please ask us questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Questions, Supervisor Hagan?
When we decided to go and help this program out last year, it was to make sure that there was adequate child or more child care. And I didn't catch from this graph, that have we just staffed existing facilities, or is there any new facilities or more child care available because of it?
So,
question.
you want me? I can do it.
Well, sure. And I looked at numbers before we
Oh,
came from
okay.
Marathon County specifically because I had the same sort of question in the back of my mind. Because we have a lot of information about our participants and where they're working and what they're doing. And from the beginning of 2025, while we lost 4 programs overall, we gained 2 new family child care programs in the process and gained about 120 slots since the beginning of 2025. So overall, we have seen a slight increase in the numbers of regulated slots in Marathon County. Does that help to answer your question? Yeah.
So, and also with our group center programs, with them having these classes, they're eligible to become a lead teacher. So essentially, programs could open up a new room to allow more kiddos in. Right now, we do have a lot of programs that aren't working at full capacity because they don't have the teachers.
Vice Chair Pfeiffer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I really like that graph, but I'm struggling to kind of comprehend it, and I want to be able to ensure that I do before I call this a success. Like when we give money like this, it's great to see outcomes, measurable outcomes. You mentioned just in your response to Supervisor Hagan the number of additional slots, but can you some way find from the work that you're doing because of this investment in the program with these specific, how many slots have opened up for childcare that wasn't available otherwise?
What we can tell you with certainty right now is that there were 2 new family child care providers for a total of 16 slots that were directly benefiting from the training opportunity. So those are 2 new programs. I think it gets a little trickier when we start to look at the individual participants from the group center. So I think the one chart had the numbers of families and children on it. So I think that one probably describes a little bit more about how many families and children have been impacted. But it's not as if there's a specific center that said, hey, we have this new teacher, we're gonna open 10 new slots as a result. It was more like, hey, we have this trained person, we lost this teacher, we're gonna put this person within this program. Unless you have additional.
No, that's not something
Thoughts, right?
we've asked directly if they're opening up new. Right now, it's more of, we need to retain our teachers, so if we're training them, the programs aren't losing. When they do lose a teacher, at least they have someone to replace them and not close an additional classroom.
And I think that when you look at our targets, was targeting 30 new individuals to be trained to work in a regulated childcare program. We're about halfway there without finishing up the end of 2025 yet. So I think that looking at that number alone, I think makes us feel really good about the process so far and the progress we've made. I think at the end is when we gather more data and statistics and information from the individuals. Right, I think Lance, when we sent you a quarterly report that asked for some specifics, but at the end of the program is when we really dig a little bit deeper on, the more long-term effects of that.
Do you feel that this program has been successful and you've attracted people that you wouldn't have attracted without this scholarship?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think our success story about Isabella is a great example.
Because she would
Of
have
that.
gave up. She would have went just somewhere else because the courses through NTC were too much for her. I feel like some of the family childcare programs were more enticed to become regulated because they got this extra benefit where, they are certified, so technically they aren't doing illegal childcare if they're still within their numbers. So this was a benefit to them to become regulated then.
Okay, great. Anybody else? No? Well, thank you very much for your update.
Thank you.
Okay, we will continue moving on then to 6B, UW Extension Monthly Report. Patrick's not here, so I don't think we have anybody in his stead, do we?
Oh, yeah, Jason is
do.
here and
Jason's here.
Mallory.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're getting a
I didn't-
twofer. What's old is
I
new
should
again
have,
has been
I should have
my,
known that by your I Love 4-H.
Yeah.
I apologize.
when I introduced.
Boomerang.
Yeah, you just can't get rid of me. Here I am. Would you like me to go up front, or is he okay?
Yes, of course.
Ah, okay.
I can't give you special treatment now.
There's our name. Good afternoon, everybody. Jason Hausler. I work out of our dean's office here with Extension. Happy to be with you this evening, kind of in a good and kind of transitional phase. So Patrick Gatterman has been our area director for the past 6 months. He's left Extension for a new role, and so some of you may have recognized me because I was here for many years as the area director before Jeremy Solon, who you got to know. So Jeremy is now my counterpart, serving out of the dean's office in the southern part of the state. So as Administrator Leonard mentioned, what's once old is now new, right? But I'm also happy to share that Mallory McGivern, in the back there, who's been serving as the FoodWise administrator here for the Central Wisconsin area, will be serving in an interim role for the next few months for sure, and we'll see how things go. We are continually assessing our area director structure, managing the numerous changes, just like Marathon County is, with funding sources and different things that are coming down each and every day to the university. So what I can say is we're hopeful and optimistic that in the next couple of months we would post and recruit a new area director serving Marathon County as well as adjacent counties. We don't know what that structure will look like yet. We are prioritizing. Our dean has said that the prioritization is in our local funding and our local educators on the ground in the counties doing the great work. So looking at administrative positions and where we can consolidate without sacrificing our service to the county partners. So I don't know what that looks like, but just here to express my support and appreciation for all of you and the support of the Extension Office. And know that Mallory and I stand ready to help serve you and answer any questions that we can. It does say the report, so the report's in the packet, and our staff works diligently to put that together for you to let you know what they are working on, what we as a division are working on, whether that's our local educators that you help to fund or co-fund, along with all the extension specialists that are doing work in Marathon County, either adjacent or the type of work that you might find valuable. So with that, I'm open to any questions if there's time. Either what's in the packet or just about the transition.
Any questions? Yes, Supervisor Lermer.
I did read the packet and the report, and I do appreciate the work the UW Extension does. There were a couple of things in there I just honed in on, and one was a program with a video with some Hmong farmers. I wondered if you could talk about that, and then I have another question about some housing. A housing summit that's being planned. I don't know if you can elaborate on those at all.
I will do my best. Admittedly, I 3 weeks back on the job, I'm still getting my feet under me in terms of exactly what's happening here. But Mallory and I did look at the packet, and I think that is there's videos to come in terms of Hmong growers. Gaunu Tao was at one time a FoodWise educator here in Marathon County, who was hired into a Hmong farmer outreach specialist serving the entire state and working with Hmong producers. And so the benefit is she lives here in Marathon County and does a lot of her work based here in Marathon County, and but also different regions of the state where the Hmong growers are. So I don't know specifically, but those part of that is to help those growers in using videos, which would then be translated for them in their native language to help them with best practices. So more to come. I think there's a site that Mallory can share. We just uncovered that too. So Mallory, you want to just share that briefly?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, one of the things that I do know Gao Nu has been working on since she started in her role is a Hmong farmer Facebook group, because she wanted to sort of create a place where people could go to find information, places we could kind of post educational opportunities. So I think if folks are interested in learning a little bit more about, some of the work that she's doing in tandem with other organizations, that Facebook page can be pretty easily found. It's Wisconsin Hmong Growers. So that page does exist and is public, so you can take a look there to see a little bit more of some of the things going on.
Thank you. Other questions?
Well, just that regional housing summit, if you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in the packet, it talked about that Regional Housing Summit, and that actually is a collaboration of our CDI educators, community development educators in central Wisconsin with our state specialist. Housing, as mentioned in the Centergy conversation, everywhere I go around the state, it's the topic of the day. Like, how do we, business development, placemaking, how do we get people here, how do we attract businesses, et cetera. So that summit, actually, there was a summit, not necessarily a summit, but there was a conversation or a conference not too long ago that focused on housing that Extension was in part of. And so I think this is a continuation of some of that. And so we have community development educators in Portage and Wood County that are helping on a regional and statewide work team. And so that would be the outcome of that. So more information to come. I don't think there's anything in the packet on that, but we'll be make sure that Marathon County is aware of that. Even though it is, the educators are in different counties, it is adjacent to Marathon County, and we would expect that those in Marathon County would be welcome to that. It's a regional thing. And so, yeah, we'll keep you posted as soon as we know more about that.
Anything else? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6C, UWSP WASA report. Sorry, Miranda, you have to come front too.
Hi. So, I think the last time anybody from UWSP stood up here and talked to the county, it was to announce our expanded partnership with and relocation to NTC. And one of the things I really hope you heard from Interim Chancellor Gandhi and Dean Stock that I now want to say on my own part is how committed we are to making sure that our exit from our current site is a smooth one and a smooth transition for the buildings to move back into county hands. And this is something that I focus on a lot in my work because that campus has been my professional home for the last 13 years, and I really care about it and want to make sure that we're turning it back to you in very good shape. So that is something that we're very focused on. Something else that is true is that nothing is changing for our students this year. So classes are off to a good start. We are continuing with all the normal student activities that we do. So nothing is changing for students. I am happy to report that UWSP's enrollment overall is up this year. So total enrollment for UWSP is 8,556. 239 of those students are attending classes on the Wausau campus. The first year class was also really strong. So on the Stevens Point campus, there were almost 1,900 incoming freshmen this year. And 79 of the Wausau students are first-year freshmen. And retention from last fall to this fall is up 0.5% overall for UWSP. So enrollment is looking good, and we feel good about the start that our students have gotten off to this semester. So that's half of what I wanted to tell you. The other half of what I wanted to tell you is that we have started work on figuring out how this whole transition over to NTC is going to work. So tomorrow, actually, we have the UWSP kickoff for our implementation teams. The implementation teams we have cover every aspect of this transition that we could think of. So we have a team that's focusing on the academics and program array, one for advising and student services, one for campus exit, one for financials, one for IT support and classroom technology, recruitment and marketing, and then transfer data, financial aid, and student financials coding. So the way these teams are going to work is that there are UWSP staff on these teams. We have our first meeting tomorrow, and then later this month we'll meet with the other half of these teams that will be all NTC folks. I personally am on a couple of these teams. Most important for you, I am the one leading our campus exit team. And I will definitely be giving you updates all along the way as we're moving through this process. And as always, I welcome questions.
Any questions? Yes, Supervisor Lemmer.
I'm not 100% sure if these are for you, Miranda, or if they're just more broad for us, but I felt like during the last meeting when you all were here, I was focused more on the programming, but it sounded like Dr. Stock said once UWSP at Wausau leaves our buildings, there will be less reason to come and do updates. We would have to invite, and I guess I'm just wondering, because it's in our rules or whatever for this committee, and there are several little bullet points about our relationship with higher ed, and I'm just wondering if there's going to be a need for us to review that and clarify going forward what our relationship is once we don't have that connection anymore.
Sure. So I don't know what will happen once we get into 2027, but I can say that until we hand over the last of our keys at the end of 2026, I will still be attending these meetings. And beyond that, I think absolutely there are going to be times that we'll have updates that we want to share.
And then I know you said nothing's going to change for students, and I'm grateful for that. The teacher in me really wants to pay attention to this staff and faculty as well, and you are in that, and so I just want to express my hope that you all are taken care of and are in a loop of communication, because this must be a lot of uncertainty for you and your colleagues. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that a lot of us see the benefits that this is providing for our students and for the community, and there is a lot to be excited about. At the same time, we are also all feeling a sense of sadness and loss because I've been on our campus for 13 years. A lot of my colleagues have been there for much longer. And so it is a very bittersweet time for us right now. And we are definitely doing our best to make sure that it's a good transition for all of the faculty and staff, as well as we're relocating over to NTC, or for the staff who won't be coming over with us as they're shifting into positions on the Stevens Point campus or wherever else we're able to find options for them.
Supervisor Robinson, do you have something to say? Oh, you gave me the eyebrows. I thought you had something to say. It's like raising your hand.
Did you want to talk about joint meetings?
We could do that now. We could do that after, but now since you brought it up, we may as well do it now. So we're discussing several times on when, as joint committees with HR, Finance, and Property and the Triple ED committee when we can get together to discuss next steps. So I think we were thinking maybe our meeting for Triple E in November, that we could maybe do a joint. And then just having committee members preparing questions that they have for moving forward, just so we can go. And you had other things to say. You had it all like figured out in your mind. So please feel free to jump in here.
Well, I think what we need to do is just sort of agree on the process by which we'll move ahead. We really, as a county, need to make a decision by July 1st as to what our approach to those buildings will be, because we'll need to budget for 2027. And there are some significant capital needs on those buildings, so we need to figure out, are we going to go, is there an interest on the part of NTC and UW Stevens Point in some or all of those buildings? What might that mean? What's the future? And many of the items are beyond our control. What happens with WIPS? What happens with public radio? What happens to the Obie Center, et cetera? But I think what we need to do is identify the process by which we will evaluate our role as the owner of the buildings going forward, and what opportunities there might be, and what those opportunities might mean to the county, and what the expectations of the county would be as we moved ahead and evaluated those opportunities. So I think that's what we really need to do.
So eloquently stated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Supervisor Leimer.
Yeah, I've had a few conversations. I can think of 3 off the top of my head with just regular folks in the community. And Lance, I'll just apologize in advance. I've told them reach out to the administrator, because we'll be making decisions. And if he knows there's interest, it will help if a list is created, so it could make it faster or slower. I don't know what it would do, but anyway, you're kind of maybe more broad in knowing all the communication that's going on, so.
No need to apologize. I've gotten a couple calls as well. I think, and I know we're not agendized to get into the details, but I think your next meeting, as was alluded to talk process. And one of the things I know Miranda and Gretel and the interim chancellor will, refining what that timeline and what that, I'll call a smooth exit, looks like, and when certain parts of the campus are available. And that stuff is important. I think no decision is going to be made very quickly, but determining what the process looks like, what does community engagement look like in terms of informing the board's decision, all those things are good things to start on early, and getting the clarification, particularly as it relates to the Center for Civic Engagement. Because that really is something that could conceivably be separated out. Not that any of the buildings, you have as all you will know very well, you have a number of buildings on that campus. And my sense is the board wants to have a process by which you are as open to the possibilities for that campus as you can be, which means not only looking at the holistic, will someone take and run all of it, or do you want to look at a more of a piecemeal approach? I think process is going to be the important thing. The decision will be what the decision will be. And if anyone knows what that is, I'm sure there's a Powerball coming up you should play as well, because there's just a lot that is yet to be known. But process, start thinking about, as Chair Marash and Chair Robinson referenced, thinking about what information we really need at the next meeting. And there's a lot of interesting information, but it's really, what do you need for the process, I think, is a good place to start.
All right, thank you for that. Anything else? No? Thank you very much for your update.
Yes, thank you. And like I said, I will bring you frequent updates, and I'm also happy to participate in any conversations and bring any information from our end that would be helpful.
Okay, now I believe we are to 5A, 1, overview of the highlights of the 2026 annual budget with respect to the departments and organizations over which the committee has jurisdiction.
All right, I'll start, and I will attempt to be brief. We'll be done by 4:30. I promise that. So I've given this presentation. I'm not going to give the hour and 45-minute version that went to HR Finance because they accepted the budget. It's now the county board's budget. My recurring message, though, that I've given to all of the committees is that it was always your budget. I think our process, and I'm sure I'm biased, but our process that has been refined over the last several years has been very helpful. You do budget priorities, you do budget assumptions, the committees talk, and you give direction. I'm very pleased to say we kept that at the forefront, staff have, throughout the entire process. All of your budget priorities, I won't go through them all in detail, there were 5. We met all of those. Your budget assumptions, we stayed true to all of those budget and revenue and expense assumptions. They are all built into this is your budget. All that said, there were some challenges, and they're highlighted in the document. And I'll just say that department heads really did an excellent job. The staff you have, that we have here at the county are really committed to carrying out the board's vision. So the one priority that I'll talk about 2. The one that we started with, your number 1 priority was implementation through the budget of the update to our compensation plan. That was no small lift. It had been a number of years since we've moved those scales. We were behind. Staff were up to the task in doing that. And I will say, we met that. Now I go through it in detail in the budget, some of the changes to the budget that working with department heads, the message was a bit of shared sacrifice across all of the departments to carry out not only the implementation of that wage study, but also your second priority was don't spend general fund reserves. That was really hard in light of the fact that we had $0 for capital. We had $10.6 million of initial capital expenses. We ended up, Chris did a great job paring that down to only the most critical things. And by critical, I mean IT critical, security, and critical infrastructure. If we don't have our IT working, it's tough to work. And then infrastructure relative to roadways, we funded transportation projects. We could have cut road projects, but that is not a long-term sustainable thing because it follows you for 6 years. So we funded the number of road projects, the dollar amount of road projects needed to maintain our roadway spending to protect general transportation aids, because if you cut this year, it follows you for 6. So those are the things we funded. That means we deferred a lot of maintenance. But we carried out those budget priorities. And like I said, in fact, we carried out all 5 of them. Highlights for each of the committees, I'm giving highlights relative to the departments and organizations that you interact with. I'll start with the organizations because you do your committee's a bit unique in that it's not, quite honestly, you don't have any department that you oversee in a direct fashion. And I'll get to that in a minute, but you do interact with a lot of organizations. You heard from a number of them today. You heard from the Historical Society, but all of the funding for the nonprofits through the professional services contracts that we have, those were all maintained. There was no direction to change them. They were maintained at the same level that they've historically been at for a number of years since I've been in administration. Those were maintained. So things like the United Way, Historical Society, Women's Community, North Central Community Action Program, McDevco, all maintained at the level they were before, as well as Wisconsin Judicare for the court mediation program. So moving to the more traditional kind of department focus, I'll start with this. When I say shared sacrifice, this committee, all the committees understand county government, municipal government, we are limited in how much additional revenue can come in. So one of the big challenges was we have net new construction of 1.61%. When you consider how much money that is, it's about $837,000. When you add the personal property adjustment as well, it's about $1 million of new money. That doesn't cover costs of increased health insurance, let alone all of the other things. So truly shared sacrifice. To give you a sense of how well the departments did relative to their levy budgets. 17 of 26, or 2/3-ish, just shy of 2/3, came in flat or down from their last year's budget. So credit to them. The way they did that, and I go through this in detail in the budget, is following your budget priority about aligning revenue streams, like Jason referenced. How do you look at financials? All those things, aligning revenue streams, looking for efficiency, changing service deliveries, and of course, as we've talked about at the full board and we followed your budget assumption recommendation, looking at fees for services and making modifications. All that information is in the budget document, very transparently laid out relative to the fees for service increases that were recommended in the proposed budget. But departments really stepped up to the plate. Again, 17 of 26 came in flat or under their 2025 levy request. So credit to them. I'll start with UW Extension. That's an area of shared sacrifice, having a difficult conversation with them about how can we, because across the county, we're looking for those opportunities. Talking with Sam Fensky, the finance director, one of the challenges is always having the administrative support because UW Extension employees are state employees. It's the partnership between the county and the state on bringing that education to communities throughout the state of Wisconsin. How can we do it to be as efficiently as possible, be done as efficiently as possible? And to manage the county budget as a whole, I made some difficult choices. They had an administrative position within Extension. I reduced the contract by that administrative position, talking with Jason and Patrick before about how can we do that service. It's important. You need administrative support, but how can we do that differently? And I think we have a strategy to do that with some additional support from our internal finance department to handle getting those invoices put in place and making sure approvals can come from UW Extension leadership. And then I kept a portion of that saving, that total cost from that admin position, and work with Jason to make sure that, particularly in 4-H, which is a big user of the administrative support side, that they have some funds to expand the administrative support there. But UW Extension was one of those departments that came in, their overall budget down $40,000 in tax levy. That's a significant change. I'll say that across the county, again, departments did that. That ranges from our largest department in the sheriff's office down to some of our smallest. We're in the courthouse, the Register of Deeds, I reduced a position. Their staff is 4 people. I unfunded a position out of their office. It's 25% of their staff. Across the county, working with department heads, we identified approximately the equivalent of 15 positions to not fund in the budget to carry out all of the budget priorities that were identified and continue to deliver the services. I'm confident we can do that. It's going to require us to do some things differently. And again, departments did a great job. It's not, I'm not sitting here saying, hey, we cut stuff that, my hope is nobody notices. I think we're going to be able to do that. We have really skilled department heads and we're looking for those opportunities. It's going to require us to do some things differently and partner differently. But UW Extension, that was one of the, again, that's a department you hear from frequently. That was the modification to their budget. The other department that you hear from frequently, the library, again, they're a bit different. So you have UW Extension, that's all state employees, a contract. The library, county employees, but governed by an independent board and they are essentially outside of the operating levy. Not essentially, they are outside the operating levy. So they impact the overall levy, their budget, but it's not subject to the operating levy limit. So with that, had conversations. Leah and her team do, again, a great job. A lot of the pressures that all of our departments, the libraries libraries not immune to those either. The cost for services, the cost of equipment, those things continue to go up. There's a whole section in the budget. We tailored the inflation section primarily to construction-related inflation, but the same is true for service contracts. So the library's budget, they came in and I made a modification to their budget. It's referenced in the document. Again, they have a library-specific reserve. Once funds are allocated and received by the library, there are library funds. Those are held by the library, can be used by the library in consistent with the direction of the library board. So their reserve, they've done very well to manage that. They made utilization of a significant portion of that this year to do some maintenance, working with our facilities and capital maintenance department to update some restrooms and some other things. So that reserve had been is largely spent down. That said, when I was projecting out the year-to-date and end of year, I anticipate them to have about $100,000 rolling into that reserve at the end of 2025. And to manage the overall tax rate, consistent with your budget priorities, I made a corresponding reduction, slightly less than what I anticipated in terms of rollover to their budget request. The library budget request then is up about $157,000. The budget that I incorporated into the proposed budget is up $57,000, excuse me, in $25, about 4.27% from last year. But again, that's a modification I made to their budget to bring the proposal forward. So I think that covers all of the departments and organizations that this committee engages with frequently. I'll just reiterate with a message that I've given to each of the committees to this point. While I largely am done with the budget, I presented it, it's been accepted by HR Finance. Again, it's been the county's budget from the moment we started, the county board's budget. The work is not done. You absolutely have the opportunity to make modifications. As I'm sure Chair Robinson is going to reiterate here, your committees are having these meetings. Supervisors are encouraged. If there's an area of the budget you want to modify, please reach out. We'll talk through. We'll help you put that resolution together. My only thing I would say to that is if you have a modification that you want to increase revenue projections or you want to make some changes to decrease expenditures that, again, would result in funds available, please give some thought to putting those into capital projects as opposed to utilizing it to decrease utilization of debt levy to drive the rate down. Again, we deferred $5 million of maintenance. Those projects aren't going away. It was said last year at the budget very appropriately by a county board member that the buying down the rate last year was a strategic move, and certainly the board approved that and moved forward. You should be very proud of and please read the full budget, but certainly pay attention to the part that talks about the economic performance of our region and how well governed Marathon County is. We are absolutely a leader in government efficiency in the state of Wisconsin. Our per capita expenditures are exceedingly low. Our tax levy per capita is exceedingly low. We are very, very well run. And that's a function of the county board providing that direction. And consistent with that idea of you still have capital needs, I referenced the highway shop. Take a look at, I referenced the highway shop in my presentation, my comments earlier at Infrastructure today and also yesterday, and on Tuesday. You have an interesting opportunity where you have already existing debt service that, for which Marathon County, we went out and borrowed, and you borrowed for the Lakeview campus, all of the work done at North Central Healthcare and the work done at the Lakeview campus and some other projects. You borrowed at a very, very advantageous time. A number of those borrowings, and this is on page 15 of the budget book, where there's the summary sheet, and the following page, page 16, has all of your debt schedules. A number of those borrowings were done between 1% and 2%. Some of them were between 3% and 4%. So you have outstanding debt that you have already borrowed. A portion of that is serviced by debt levy, and another portion, if you look at the page up on the screen, the North Central Healthcare column, they are paying, giving to the county for purposes of debt service. The goal is for them to service in '26, $3 million worth of debt. They give the county the money to pay that debt. You've already borrowed for that, though. You went through the issuance cost, the interest cost is included in that. The highway shop, just to put this in context, last meeting, the board designated $30 million of highway reserves for that project. If we conservatively say that the project is going to be 50 million, which again, I think is a conservative number, it very easily could come in higher. That gap of 20 million, to think about the opportunity that you have. I don't have my sheet in front of me, so I'm going to be going off of memory. But if you borrow at a 3% interest rate, which 3% not going to get. But it's about $6.5 million of interest on that $20 million borrowing, just interest. If you borrow at 4%, it goes up to, my recollection is about $9 million. And if it's 5%, it's over 12. I have to do some work on refining this financial plan with Sam and with our consultants, but if we take advantage of the already existing borrowing to not have to borrow for that highway shop and take the funds from North Central Healthcare, shift that general obligation debt you already have onto debt levy, you can perhaps build that highway shop without borrowing and save millions of dollars for the taxpayer. But that only happens if you're strategic, and it's going to require use of debt levy. So driving it down again and deferring more maintenance doesn't serve us well in the long term. That said, you certainly can do it. I mean, you tell me what you want, and I will do my best to do it. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you what I thought the best course of action or what the consequences could be, but we're in a really good spot. Please take a look at that financial section. We are very well run. North Central Wisconsin. Central Wisconsin is a highly competitive region, as Angel said. Our unemployment is significantly lower than the state average. We're in a good spot. The budget is good. I'm very proud of the budget we delivered, and you'll have a lot of time to make modifications to it before it's approved in November. So I promised I would be done by 4:30. I gave John 1 minute now to do his part.
Why did I know that would happen? So I think Lance touched on the fact that, we're trying to engage the county board early and often in the budget process relative to the priorities, the assumptions. We've encouraged the committees to look at those programs under your jurisdiction and the fees associated with those, and we've had some very good input. The budget is now the county board's. We accepted it on Tuesday. We've got some important deadlines coming up. October 13th, we need to publish the budget in the paper for the public to look at it. That will go to public hearing. So before then, the committee will be looking at amendments. We'll do that next week, and then the following Monday, the 13th, to see if we want to make any adjustments prior to publication. So if you have any thoughts, please forward those to us. You did today with two different items. Then we'll have the public hearing on November 3rd, And then we'll have a deadline for the Human Resources Finance Committee to review items of November 7th. So amendments, we would ask if you wanted them to considered by the committee to have those in by November 7th, and we'll take those up on the 10th and present the budget to the board on the 11th. Amendments can be offered right up till the end. And again, we encourage you to bring them in early. If you have questions, contact the administrator or myself or the members of the Human Resources Finance and Property Committee, and we'll try to answer the questions or consider your request. So I too was done before 4:30.
Very impressive. Very impressive. All right, anything else? Any questions about that timeline? No? All right, well done. So our next meeting date and time, announcements and future agenda items. Committee members are asked to bring ideas for future discussion. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 6th at 3 p.m. That will be a joint meeting if HR Finance and Property approves that. And I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Rosenberg. Second by Lemmer. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Oh, shocking. All right, have a great day. Thank you.